Just last week, on September 9th in Rochester, New York, there were 3 roofers working on a house when ICE showed up. One man was taken into custody. He had been an employee with the company for 5 years. He was known in that community. And when ICE showed up, the neighbors came out of their homes and they called their network of friends and activists, and more and more and more people began to gather around this house. There were still 2 gentlemen up on the roof. And the neighbors were telling them, "Do not come down. We've got you." They gathered around the house with bullhorns, telling the rest of the workers to stay where they were. They were committed to protecting those men and using their voices. Soon, clergy, attorneys, labor leaders, advocates quickly showed up and joined the neighbors until more than 200 people surrounded that house. They protected them with their chants. They offered support. They stood their ground. They asked questions over the bullhorn. "Do you have a warrant?" They did not. Asking the men on the roof if they needed anything. The neighbors, the people who showed up, they were vocal and they held space. And eventually, after 4 hours, the ICE agents, confronted by the growing number of people and the visible opposition and the moral weight of the crowd's presence, they eventually left. According to the roofing contractor, the man who was arrested has been in the United States for over 25 years and has legal documentation to work. He said he was the best worker that he had been a dedicated employee for over 5 years. He said he's a family man who has a baby on the way. He pays his taxes, he goes to church every Sunday, and he has never had so much as a speeding ticket. The other 2 workers, encouraged by the neighbors to stay on that roof, the activists, all of them, they stayed on the lawn, out in the open. Those neighbors, those people chose love. That was public courage. That was visible, collective protection. John, would you please show an image of that for our beloveds? Look at that. Look at that love right there. That's who we are. That is the love that we are. Saying something out loud, using our voices, being present, refusing to stay silent in the face of injustice is spiritual power. It changes what happens. It means protection, it means dignity, and it can even mean freedom. My talk today is called "Say the Thing Out Loud." The courage that sets you free. And our theme this month is Solidarity September. And we as a spiritual community are highlighting all of the ways that we can, in our community, NTCSL, our global community, how we can together with one voice take a stand for solidarity. We've invited you to take photos of yourself and others in your community, this community or another community, in whatever way that is lifting up another being. We've invited you to email these photographs to photos@newthoughtcsl.org. Solidarity September photos@newthoughtcsl.org. Send us your photos so that we can do good with them. We have a project and we're going to do good with them. Last week, Rev Shelley said, "It turns out that solidarity is spiritual maturity in action, and that solidarity is a spiritual practice." We are offered many ways of deciding to be in solidarity with the most marginalized people among us. So what about saying the thing out loud when there is not safety in numbers, like I just showed you? What does that look like? What about saying the thing out loud when you are not totally comfortable, or when it's maybe just you and one other person? So I want to give you an example of this. Many years ago, when my daughters were much younger, I remember being in the kitchen with them, and we were talking, and one of them was talking about a friend of hers, and my daughter was using they, them pronouns. This was the very first time I'd ever heard they, them pronouns, so naturally it piqued my curiosity. And so I asked my daughter to explain this to me. And she said something like, "Mom, you know pronouns are just little words that we use instead of someone's name." She was a teenager at the time. I said, "Yes." She said, like he, she, or they, everyone uses pronouns. And she explained to me in the most simple, sweetest, innocent way that, for some people, they don't feel comfortable with he or she, so they use the pronoun they. And that maybe that sounds unusual at first, but English has been doing this forever. Like, someone left their coat. I hope they come back for it. We use they, them pronouns all the time. So, when a person says their pronouns are they, them, it just means, she shared with me, that the word fits them better than he or she. They, them matches how they feel inside. Then she said, "Mom, using it is just good manners." Hand on hip. That's it. That's it. It's not political. It's not complicated. It's just kindness. Hello. My name is Shannon O'Hurley. My pronouns are she, her. It's great to meet ya. That's it. That's it. That's it. I remember taking that in the kitchen that day. And I remember feeling the extraordinary wisdom coming out of my daughters. All of them. We were all there. And I remember taking it in and feeling how important this was and how healing this was for so many people. And I also remember saying to my daughter that, you know what, it might take me a minute to get used to it, but I'm going to do that. And she said, "Mom, take all the time you need, but really it's not that hard." She then said, "It's kind of like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You just get out the peanut butter and the jelly, you put it on bread, and boom, you're good to go. It's not that hard." Just like a teenager. And this reminded me, when I was reflecting on this and I was thinking about say the thing out loud and how we can use our voice to empower others, to create more kindness, to create more love, to create more belonging. I remembered the very first time when I was trying on this new set of tools that my daughters taught me, and I accidentally misgendered someone. And I remember in that moment, I was so embarrassed. And I was trying to apologize, and everything was coming out sideways. And this beloved being in front of me assured me that it was okay. And the fact that I was trying and that I was learning was the most important thing. And in that moment, I saw God in the face of that person. I saw Spirit in the face of that person. I saw love in that face of that person. And I learned what I needed to unlearn. And I learned how much grace there is for all of us to step into saying the thing out loud. I want to encourage you all, and I know this is in many ways a generational thing, because y'all youngins know, you're like, whatever, is she almost done? We're good. We know. Pronouns, schmonouns, we use them all the time. What are you talking about? If you are not using pronouns, this is one way that you can say the thing out loud. So I invite you into that practice. Hi, my name's Shannon. My pronouns are she, her. Tell me about yourself. Just that. You never know. You never know what another person is carrying. And this is a way of creating, again, belonging in all the spaces. I had the privilege of recently completing our 6-week class that I taught here called Spiritual Economics, Living in the Abundant Flow. And we talked about abundance in all areas of life and how we can step into that. And in the text, Eric Butterworth, a mystic in his own right, an extraordinary New Thought teacher from generations and generations ago, wrote, "We have the marvelous opportunity to usher in a new world in which people of awareness will live with what Thoreau calls the license of a higher order of beings." Thoreau called us as people with a license of a higher order of being. And as a spiritual, progressive community that honors everyone, we get to step into this higher order of beingness. Are you with me? Are you willing? Are you willing? There's my people. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we step into this higher order of beingness so that we can uplift, support, and love better those who need it? We begin by recognizing that we can speak from the place of spirit, of goodness within us. Jesus of Nazareth said, "Behold, the kingdom of God is within you." How we might translate that in our New Thought teaching would be, remember the kingdom of spirit is within you. And if we are speaking from the indwelling spirit, we are speaking from that place of love. We're letting that place of love within us, that place within us that has never been harmed or hurt in any way, that place within us that is unconditional love. You know what I'm talking about. The moments when you have instant forgiveness, feelings of humanity, of empathy, of compassion for people you do not even know. That is spirit within you leading the way in that moment, leading your thoughts, leading what you speak and say out into the world. The love of the indwelling spirit is inside us. The question is whether we will bring it forth or not. So, not long ago, I was with one of our beloved practitioners downstairs, and as I was turning to leave, just like, you know that instant, right, when you're just about to say, I'll see you later, and you're just kind of getting ready to go, I recognized in that moment that I was thinking that I just adore this person. I love them so much. And that part of me, that indwelling spirit went, say it, Shannon. And I was like, oh, by the way, I need to tell you I adore you. I love you so much. I couldn't leave until I said that. Just know that I love you and I adore you. I was just following, that inner nudge of spirit. And what happened in the next moment floored me. I didn't expect it. This beloved got teary. And I realized that they needed to hear that. And that was spirit within me saying, speak the truth. Say the thing out loud. And in that moment, I went, okay, message received. I'm going to say the thing out loud every time. So if you've been around me for the last couple of weeks, I hope you feel loved up. But it's like How many times do we think something loving, kind, and we don't say it? So then a couple of days later, I was at a store, and it was so busy. And I got up to the cashier, and people were interrupting, and she was being very, very helpful, and all this stuff was going on. And again, I turned around to leave, and I was thinking to myself, oh, she's lovely. She was just putting up with all this. Gosh, I hope she has a good day. Excuse me. I just have to tell you, sorry. I just have to tell you, you're lovely. This is a lot, and you're doing great. And she teared up. And then the person behind me went, oh, yes, you're doing great. No rush, no rush. Do you see? Say the thing out loud. Say the thing out loud. And there have been a couple of times where I've said that, and the person's kind of like, oh, okay, sure. No, it's okay. That's all right. Because for every time that I have said it, and sometimes it takes a little bit of courage, I have to take a deep breath, depending on where I am. Anybody? Yeah? It's worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. My friends, this is a spiritual practice. This is a spiritual practice. I remember doing versions of this along my journey when I was studying to be a practitioner, when I was studying to be a minister, and I realized that I had just fallen away from this practice. I think these things all the time, but I wasn't saying them out loud. So I invite you into this because it's been life-changing for me. Now, please note, I said say the loving thing out loud. So, Jen's like, but here's the thing. The loving thing can sound like ice go home. The loving thing can sound like, we've said on many of our marches that we have attended here, this is what democracy looks like. That is loving. That is loving. The loving thing can say, hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is Shannon and my pronouns are she, her. The loving thing can sound like, I just have to tell you what a wonderful job you're doing, or your smile brightened my day, or when you see someone who is hurting, the loving thing sounds like, what can I do to support you? So, we are given all the time these opportunities to step into the truth, to see how people are, to check in, to speak truth to power in a powerful, loving way. One of the things that this practice for me has led to since I've started actively practicing this, I found that there is a profound connection for me, and I'm going to ask you to unpack this for yourself or consider this for yourself, because it led me to a piece of this that is very important, that is different, and I think it is the hardest piece of saying the thing out loud. At least it is for me. For many of us, we grew up, when someone would say, how are you? We grew up just saying, fine, thanks, how are you? Fine, thanks, how are you? Fine, thanks, how are you? Right? And I am not going to do that anymore. I'm just not going to do that anymore. I don't think that is necessarily, there's not a need for politeness in that response. I think in that moment, there's an opportunity for connection. There's an opportunity for true authenticity. There's an opportunity for incredible truth-telling, Because right now, in this history that we are living through, that I'm fine, how are you, just falls flat. It just does. And yes, and yes, and yes, we have so much to celebrate. Find the joy wherever you can flip and find it right now. It's so important to find the joy and to also be able to name when the things are hard. This was a really hard week in our country. This was a really hard week in the world. And you know, I can't not name that. There were horrific shootings, devastating Supreme Court rulings, divisive rhetoric, debilitating action in the wars, not to mention any personal challenges that you may be carrying or holding or moving through right now. I have to name that there is a lot of grief. There is a collective pain body of grief right now. Why? Because we're all connected. So on some level, we are all feeling this in this one human family. Thank God for this place. Oh my. Thank God for this spiritual, supportive community. You know, we have our annual community meeting after service today. You're all invited. You get to see all the good we've been doing. Oh, we have so many fun plans, things we are going to be doing. You know, right now, community is huge. It's hugely important. And here's what I want to share with you. When I began practicing saying the loving things out loud, what the sort of directly and beautifully connected to that is also the courage to say the hard things out loud. And for me personally, I find this to be so healing, you know? If I, for example, am absorbing the news and someone crosses my path now and calls me or texts me, or I run into them and they ask me how I'm doing, instead of, I'm fine, how are you? I will say, you know what? I'm absorbing some pretty hard stuff that was in the news today. I'm hanging in there, but it's hard. How are you? And it's immediate. They just lean in. I hear you. I hear you. These are people I don't even know. I hear you. You know? The other day, I was with someone I love very much. And I was taking in really hard information, really difficult stuff, you know? And this person I love so much asked me, how are you? And I just said, I'm weepy. I find myself weepy these last few days. Yeah, you too, sweetie. Yeah. And this person I love leaned in and took my hand and said, me too, me too. We get to share that too. We get to say that out loud to each other too. And so I want to encourage you to practice that as well, wherever you are. If somebody says to you, how are you? It's okay. It's okay to say, it's kind of a hard day. But I'm here, I'm hanging in, how are you? This creates an opportunity for connection and for healing and for the truth that needs to be spoken right now. It needs to be spoken. It needs to be shared. And when we share it, it's holy, it's sacred, it's supportive, it's loving, and it brings us closer. It brings us closer. So this week, I invite you to find ways that you can say the thing out loud to support the most vulnerable and marginalized among us. And let me just say to that, if you're unable to join us for the community meeting, one of the things we are going to be celebrating is that just from April, it's now September, we as a community started with 8 and ended with 32. We have attended 2 rallies and 4 marches just in that time. And I want you to all mark your calendars. It's Solidarity September, so this is what we're doing in Solidarity September. October 18th is the next No Kings March. Join me, be with me, let's do it. Let's speak love out loud. Yeah, October 18th, Saturday. So find ways. You can say the thing out loud and support the most vulnerable and marginalized among us. Number 2, if you haven't already begun, I invite you into the practice of getting very comfortable sharing your pronouns. Especially, I will say, in a group setting. If you go into a group setting, it's a really, really beautiful thing to be able to say your name and your pronouns. And it's a spiritual practice. So please join me in that. And number 3, please, I invite you into the practice of saying the loving thing out loud and speaking your pain out loud. You're safe in this community to do that. We will all hold you in that. You are not alone in that. I don't know what I would do without the support I have in this community. So, speak truth to power wherever you can. Start sharing your pronouns to stand in solidarity. And begin making a practice of saying the loving thing and the hard and painful thing out loud.